Hello and welcome back to another Indianapolis Colts podcast. Thank you for joining me today. It is Thursday, July 25th, and it is the first day of training camp for the Colts as they get to work today. A pretty healthy squad for the Colts. Overall, we're seeing guys get back to work. Deion Kane got on the field. Andrew Luck is back on the field from dealing with his calf injury, and I'll talk about him for sure moving forward. And we're seeing guys come back into it. Darius Leonard and Eric Ebron, guys that we missed in the OTAs, and now they're coming alive here, and we're going to see the Colts really get to work here in the next couple weeks as they are getting to work with their 11 on 11 stuff and individual workouts from what we saw with Andrew Luck. I'll start out with the man of the hour, Andrew Luck, working his way back onto the field with his red number 12 jersey. We didn't see that at all for the OTAs. There was an absence of him. Saw a lot of the other quarterbacks, that being Jacoby Brissett, Philip Walker, and Chad Kelly, all of which are still on the team. And Jacoby Brissett still was taking first team reps in the 11 on 11 setting today, with Andrew Luck being limited to individual workouts this afternoon. Ballard said before this week that expect to Andrew Luck to be limited in the first week. They're going to get him back and just be careful with it, as you know that we still have a lot of time leading into the first week of the season. And Frank Reich has reiterated from the point where he missed in OTAs to this point that the arm and the throwing arm is fine. It's nothing on that end. They're just being overly cautious for this calf strain that Luck must have gotten, and it had to be some sort of serious, semi-serious strain for them to have so much precaution on it. And I think that this is such an interesting quote that I took from Frank Reich when asked about, because when Andrew Luck was first diagnosed with this calf strain, that was right around the same time that Kevin Durant was dealing with his calf strain. And there was so much conversation of, re-injuring, or, we saw with Kevin Durant, they brought him back too early in the finals and ended up tearing his Achilles. Frank Reich said today, when asked about, if Kevin Durant's lingering injury in the sports world translated to kind of their thought process in dealing with their franchise player, this is what he said. We didn't really talk about it, but I think we all knew it. I was thinking it. I was certainly thinking it. I didn't have that conversation with Chris or any of our trainers, but that's business. When you see something like that, you're like, oh, yeah, that's what you do when we are doing. It's kind of an unspoken truth. That's why let's be cautious with this was our idea. So, you see that, and that's real. You see a real person coming out and telling his real thoughts on it. And I think that that's most of the time, it's like, no, we don't know. We didn't, for PR sake, they're like, no, we are focused in on us. We don't know anything else besides us. I think it's great that he was able to kind of visualize that for the audience, that he was able to look at Kevin Durant, because him being a fan of sports and just being a sports guy in general, he would know about that injury and how much that could impact his star quarterback. So that was kind of an interesting quote I wanted to talk about, with Frank Reich talking about the calf strain injury. Nothing like, and Kevin Durant's initial calf strain injury was not something that would have, really hurt him for the long run. And I don't think that that's the same thing with Andrew Luck. We don't know the full extent of it, but having all this time to recover, there's not going to be any lingering effects. That would have been the case if they would have rushed him in OTAs and he would have, tweaked it somehow. There could have been some lingering issues. That's why they were careful, and that's why they're being careful now. So no pauses. No, I don't object. Certainly, this is something that they're being smart about, and they do not want, another season without number 12 being on the field for any games. They want him on the field for all 16. So that is what what we're all hoping for as well. But we did see Luck come on the field today and saw him warm up and get some individual workouts. We saw him throw passes to the first time for Paris Campbell, Devin Funchess, and Deion Kane. This was something that I really love to see, that he's been able to progress, and now we're seeing Funchess and Campbell, these guys that we've talked about for months and who we've highly anticipated coming in here and making an impact, are finally getting works with 12, and I'm sure that they're getting more work in that we're not seeing, but they are getting, hopefully, a little bit on the same page here, and can get some motivation going to get better and get clicking as we roll into preseason and into the first week. And we saw Brissett line up for the Colts in 11-on-11 drills, and we saw kind of a slow start from the Colts offense, and it was kind of highlighted by a Brissett touchdown pass to Ty in the back corner, what we've seen a lot from Andrew Luck when he throws those back corner throws to Ty, and that was a nice catch there for the Ghost. And one thing I wanted to point out too, and this was something that I just happened to notice this afternoon after the practice session was over, that on Twitter, Indy Sports One tweeted that the first drop pass of the day was from Eric Ebron. And Eric Ebron, being a Twitter guru, if you will, as he is, he of course responds back to this tweet and says, essentially, to the point of, why would you don't be that guy. If you go and tweet it right. The TF, the fuck Chad ever gonna throw me a pass on a game with Andrew here? Okay, then. And Indy Sports One responds with, well, we aren't being that guy. We just made an observation. We also tweeted right after that, keep in mind that was a pass from Chad Kelly, but continue working to be better, my man. So a pretty classy response from Indy Sports One there. And I think that Eric Ebron kind of took that a little bit out of context a little bit. I think that it's journalists' job to report on things that they see. And if Eric Ebron did indeed, I didn't see the play myself, but if he did indeed drop the ball, then that it's the journalist's right to report that. And yeah, maybe I don't know. I kind of see the side of the journalists because of my ties to journalism, but also at the same time, I wouldn't want to. Myself probably wouldn't tweet something like that, as we've seen. We don't want Colts media to be attacking Ebron, because I think that sometimes these drop issues with players, it can be mental. And a guy like Ebron going on Twitter, probably searching his name and finding a tweet like that and just kind of responding out of anger, that's just for the mental stuff. I just don't want that to linger. And I hope that it doesn't into the season, and he can come in fresh and just not let that stuff bother him. That there's been guys, I just talked about Kevin Durant, he's kind of been notorious for that too, just kind of letting fans and, journalists kind of get under their skin a little bit. I'm hoping that Ebron doesn't let it get too in the mental side, and he's able to kind of pull away from that. And, he had a great season last year, even with some drops. So if he cleans them up a little bit this year, and especially with, probably with Jack Doyle being kind of limited, with, I would guess, the first week or so, first couple weeks, hopefully that Ebron can come in and just be mature and kind of block out all that stuff. He doesn't need to be responding to that. And I'm not, no attack on Ebron whatsoever. He's one of my favorite guys on the team, but I just think he's better than that. He can, he's a Pro Bowler. He has the touchdown record for tight end on the Colts. He doesn't need to be responding to any Sports One on Twitter. Come on, Ebron. Love you, big guy. All right. The next thing I want to talk about was just, the overall team chemistry. And on the other hand, Ebron was on Twitter and had kind of a positive note when he calls out Darius Leonard and says, "Man, I know what they call him, the maniac now. He popped the ball out quick." And Darius Leonard responds with "my bad" with a laughing face. These guys are friends, man. These guys are friends, and that he made a good play, and he calls him out on Twitter, for it. So that's cool to see. We're seeing these guys interact. This is the social media age, and we still have guys like Andrew Luck who aren't on that social media realm, but some of these younger guys that are being brought on here, they're hopefully bringing a positive aspect to the social media presence that lets fans kind of see a different side of them from the guys that we see on the field. So I always like that, and we just love this team chemistry. And Ty has talked about the team chemistry, and he talked about it yesterday in the media session. And this was his quote on the team: "This team is special. It's probably the most talented team I've been on, most smart and humblest team I've been around. Guys just want to get better." And that's been the mantra, hasn't it, for Ballard since the moment he got here. He got rid of guys he didn't think could fit. He got rid of some potential guys that could be issues with the locker room. And now you have a team that is together and that fits right. I think right now in this moment, we're going to see how it works here in the 2019 season. But I would say right now, that's what you're liking to see. And a guy now that's almost a veteran, in your locker room, Ty, with how many young players you have, that's great to see with Ty, because flashback to 2017 season, calling out the offensive line for not blocking. This is that same Ty who went irate. This was a quiet, just humbled, didn't do anything. Called out his teammates after a loss when I think against the Jaguars, when Brissett was sacked something like 10 times or something. And now you're seeing full circle, where he's happy with this team. He's happy with the setting, and that is with two years rebuild post Ballard. This is the team right here, and this team chemistry, this team makeup, the talent. It's Super Bowl run. I really think that's should be on the mind of all the Colts in the locker room and everybody as we're covering the Colts. That is a chance, and we're seeing a lot of these power rankings with the Colts being top 5. It could be the Colts year. And I think for the next 3 or 4 years, they're set. And this is really exciting to see. And we're seeing it start right now, July 25th, first day of training camp. Just so fun to watch this, and so fun to see out there at Grand Park, just these Colts go out and show what they, were brought on here to do. Chris Ballard and Frank Reich and Eberflus and Sirianni, all these guys have seen something in these players. And all the guys, of course, the scouts that brought on guys like Ben Banogu, who I'm going to talk about here in a minute. These guys and Rock Ya-Sin, these guys are going to be impactful in more ways than one. We're going to see. It might not be week 1 on the first snap, but they're going to make an impact one way or the other this year, and we're definitely going to see it. And it might happen sooner than you think. Ben Banogu, I'm going to talk about it right now. He started today at defensive end. So that's what a story for Ben Banogu here. Since I started covering him, I didn't necessarily know what the Colts were going to do with him. Saw a lot of his tape and great potential with pass rush, some potential with Sam, linebacker position. He had some ability to play Mike as well, and just kind of was, all around kind of a great player there. But I think definitely specialized in his pass rushing abilities in college. Now the Colts bring him in OTAs, and like the whole time he's at pass rush, the whole time. Didn't have him at anything else. And I was talking, I was like, man, maybe the Colts play Sam here. They didn't play, Sam 2018 season, with this defensive scheme. That's a possibility. Did they draft it for the Sam linebacker? Well, no, I guess not. They're seeing something right here with his pass rushing and enough where they're starting him right now. I mean, does that have a whole lot of merit? Well, it has some. I wouldn't say that this means that he'll be starting week 1 of the regular season, but it's showing that a guy that has worked with Robert Mathis this offseason, and Mathis had strong words for him. This guy is wanting to work, and he's just sounds like another, one of those Ballard character guys who just wants to get better and, not really into himself and his personal accolades, just in it for the team and really just fighting to be 1% better every day. And that's what we want on the Colts moving forward here. And I think that's what we're going to get. Another thing to really watch in this training camp here is the situation with Quincy Wilson and Rock Ya-Sin. I think that Rock has a chance to come in and be top 4 corner, and beat out Nate Hairston for that 4th spot. That's more of a realistic thing that I see. I think that Quincy Wilson, he's been such an up and down player, and on a corner team, room that is really kind of coming into themselves a little bit. You have really stellar play last year from Desir and Kenny Moore. And you have Wilson, who really finished out the year strong, and a guy that is one of your bigger bodied corners on the team right now. About, similar size to Rock. So will there be a shot for Rock to steal the nickel corner spot? Not week 1, I wouldn't say. But I think that within the first 6 weeks, there's a shot. I want to see a little bit more from Rock in this training camp and just moving forward, and just see how he progresses into the NFL system, and see if he can kind of learn from this room and learn from going at against guys like Ty and Funchess and Paris Campbell, just guys that he didn't really see all the time at Temple. Of course, just NFL caliber wide receivers week in and week out. So that is what you want him to get, kind of experience with. And he's been, into it since the moment he got here. So I think, he's probably getting to a point where he's getting a little bit comfortable now, kind of finding out a way for himself. And I'm hoping that he has a shot to come in here and make some noise. As he has some high potential. That you look at the first 3 picks for the Colts, especially, and all 3 of the guys have really high potential to, be key contributors this year. And I don't know if first on depth, string chart starters, but that I think that they'll make some key contributions, and God forbid there be injuries, they're inevitable, but the guys like that can step in and hopefully make an impact for you if need be. So I just think that looking at today, that's really the points that stood out to me. Darius Leonard being back, just like I said, he got the strip on Ebron, just he looked like he was getting back into himself after that ankle surgery, that minor ankle surgery. And we're gonna see how this all plays out now, and hopefully Andrew Luck will come back and progress into the next step. Frank Reich has said is the 7-on-7, and that will progress onto the 11-on-11 drills and stuff. And I will see that and evaluate it and talk to you guys about what I think as we see Andrew Luck progress. But looking at some videos and that I've seen, and from what I've seen from Andrew Luck today, it's looking pretty good. And I really think that he's got some zip to his pass and didn't, do a whole lot of mobility stuff, but he's throwing the ball on the field in front of people. That's what you like to see, of course, for your franchise quarterback, and they'll progress him into this this year. So that's really all I want to talk today. I didn't want to talk it to death. So I hope that this helped you guys understand today a little bit, and moving forward throughout the training camp. It'll go on for the next couple weeks here, as I will continue to come out with podcasts updating you guys on all the Colts news that comes out, if anything does. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe button. I'm trying to build this channel as we get into the 2019 campaign, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys for listening.